He needed your help and he got it. That, my friend, is love in action. Make the choice for love. My part will be the playlist, and your part will be to reinforce my efforts with efforts of your own, which will lead you to a much easier time in dealing with his dementia. First, let me say that the things we're sharing now don't need to be shared with your loved one. One of them is our strategy for getting him to his happy place. We'll guide him there with what I call emotional guidance. The hidden benefit of memory loss is that it removes resistance to emotional guidance. Anyone who has worked with a patient with memory loss would naturally want to help him improve his mood. It's surprisingly easy because the patient is looking to others to find out how he should be reacting to the present situation. He is looking for emotional guidance already. Very common questions from a dementia patient are there any visitors expected today? And what should I be doing? And what time is it? These questions reveal the emotional condition of the patient. Are there any visitors expected? The question is generated by the patient's feeling that he is somehow unready to entertain visitors. He is aware of the difficulties his lack of a functional short-term memory pose, and is insecure about how that appears to others. Another question, what should I be doing? This touches on his feeling that he's not being useful, as he probably was in the past. Dementia is an affliction of the short-term memory at first. The long-term memory is left intact until the final stages. He can remember being independent and productive. Now he is aware that he is no longer. He wants to compensate by doing something. The third question, very common with dementia patients, what time is it? It makes little difference what time it is to the patient because he's retired, has no important schedule, and can no longer do what he was once capable of. But habit leads him to ask this question over and over. The emotion most often felt by dementia sufferers is insecurity. Over time, continued feelings of insecurity erode self-esteem. In addition, our society regards wrinkles, gray hair, wheelchairs, walkers, hospital beds, bedpans, depends, and similar items as symbols of weakness, feebleness, inadequacy, and old age. It doesn't help that in his younger days, the patient has probably followed society's directive and sees these symbols in the same negative light, and the people who must depend on these items with pity or revulsion. When it dawns on them that they are now in a position where they must depend on these items, they judge themselves. As they judge themselves to be unworthy, their self-esteem erodes. Little by little, the situation gets worse, maybe because of the way they perceive themselves, or maybe because of the dementia's effect on the brain. It seems to be a 1-2 punch. We can block the first punch by guiding the emotions of your loved one. Emotional guidance deals with these memory loss problems by guiding the patient again and again to challenge false ideas and flawed judgments in a cheerful way. The general level of emotional vibration is raised, a better mood is induced, a better outlook replaces the negative group of thoughts. Repetition is employed, and over time the habit of happiness can stick with the patient. But relief is seen immediately in the moment that the caregiver delivers emotional guidance to the patient. The consistency we bring to the thought life of your loved one will eventually bring noticeable results. For example, rolling a wheelchair up beside the bed of a patient with dementia who has lost the ability to walk will often precipitate negative emotions. Even after using the wheelchair daily for several months, the dementia patient sees a new item. A wheelchair has just entered his world. He can't remember he can't walk. He can't remember he uses a wheelchair. It's all new to him because he has no memory of seeing the chair before. A quick phrase to take the sting out of such moments and set a cheerful tone is, it's not a character flaw to have a problem with your balance. That's pretty hard to argue with. It puts the patient in a more positive light than he'd been holding himself in. It's the same with the patient who needs help with toileting. It's not a character flaw to need a little help now and then. With this technique, you can counter the words he is saying to himself. His inner critic is saying words within him that mean he is somehow unworthy, and his character is flawed. His life has come down to this sense of failure. He can no longer be vibrant and independent. He looks at himself as a loser. No, he is not. Shut the inner critic up by talking back with his correction of his flawed logic. It's not a character flaw. It is not a character flaw to need a little help. We all need a little help at different parts of our lives, and some people forget that. They forget that at some point they needed help or will need help again. Part of our beautiful humanity is that we give help when help is needed. Along these lines, you might consider referring to his dementia as a little forgetfulness. A little forgetfulness is perfectly normal at this point in your life. It is normal for everyone your age. And it has its benefits. You can't remember bad stuff either. And I'm here to remind you of the good stuff. That is a plum assignment because it makes us both focus on good stuff going on right now. So we both get to be happy. Another way to guide him emotionally is to point out beauty. Lead the way by noticing everything and anything around you that you can focus on and appreciate. Move from the default settings society insists we adopt, which are task-oriented, and change that setting to appreciation-oriented. You'll get the task done while you appreciate beauty all around you. What beauty, you ask? Use your senses. What do you smell? If you don't like it, get out the Febreze or light a scented candle and make a note to notice change in a few minutes. Now you're in a room with a beautiful smell. Notice it and point it out to your loved one. Look out the window for more beauty. Look at the sky. Look for the evidence of the wind. Any small bit of nature will do. A leaf, a bird, sun and shadow, rain or snow. You don't have to overlook a vast wilderness to see nature. You're appreciating it so you can give the happiness it brings to your loved one. So you need to zoom in on it, and in doing so you understand that it consists of vast oceans, skies, mountain ranges, and also minutiae. There is beauty in minutiae. Point it out. If your loved one is playing on the black keys, this change of tone to simple appreciation of nature is more welcome than if he didn't have dementia. The dementia is causing voids in his mind. We're using emotional guidance to fill those voids with happiness, with appreciation for beautiful smells and sights. And we'll also use sounds. But before we leave the sense of sight, we'll point out that colors seem to have meaning to a dementia patient more than for you and me. You can point out colors by saying, "Look at that beautiful red blanket of yours. Wow." He may respond by mocking your enthusiasm at such a small thing, but he most likely will follow your lead towards appreciation. That is emotional guidance. That is our task, our healing of our loved one, moving him along gently from feelings of inadequacy to feelings of appreciation. We're moving him from sad to happy. Is there a higher calling or a task more worthy given you right now? Appreciate that you have an answer. You can relieve the pain of this disease. You are a powerful healer with this tool of emotional guidance. Put it to good use. We've learned ways to guide your loved one emotionally, and they all begin with the letter S, so that it's simple to remember. We'll notice things that are beautiful all around by using our sight. We notice good smells, and we use scented products to create an atmosphere that smells wonderful. And we use sounds to present beauty. Music can be breathtakingly beautiful. Use what's available. Use what you know about the preferences of your loved one when it comes to music, and play it often. It'll never get old. Besides music, there are many more pleasant sounds available. Any type of comedy that contains a laugh track will suffice. Without having to have a deep understanding of what and why it's funny, your loved one can just follow along by consensus, joining in with a laughing crowd, and maybe not knowing why. It's the same result, happiness and a feeling of connectedness. Laughter is a wonderful, uplifting, mutual, and beautiful thing humans do. And humans have always proved in tight situations that no situation is too grim for a laugh. Dementia is a tight situation, and laughs are warmly welcomed. We're looking for beautiful things to focus on so we can guide your loved one's focus there. We are guides, the best kind. It's nice to have a guide when the territory seems so unfamiliar and we don't feel we can find our way by ourselves. But you can find your way to happiness by learning how to follow the trail, noticing beauty all around you using sight, smell, and sound to guide his emotions. So click on the playlist, try it out. Please share these videos with anyone you think they could help, and leave comments in the comments section that will help others bear the burden you're bearing with courage in the face of this frightening disease. It won't seem so frightening if we all face it together, and we'll be so much better when you see your loved one distracted by the good thoughts in the playlist that can trigger and sustain his happiness.